What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you with a archetype discussion today. Technically two archetypes, but more of a deck, and that is Graydle Kaiju. Now, you will have seen my Graydle Kaiju deck profile not too long ago, and there have been some changes to that deck, and some people are asking me to do a pure version of the Graydles, but I feel they really benefit from having the Kaijus in the deck. I just want to talk about the feasibility of the deck in the meta right now. If you don't know what Graydles are, there are 5 monsters, but there are 3 main ones that you use, which is Cobra, Eagle, and Alligator. Each one triggers this effect when you get destroyed by battle, and Cobra when it's by monster effect, Alligator when it's destroyed by spell card, and Cobra when it's destroyed by a trap card. You get to take your opponent's monsters. And it's a very annoying mechanic, I feel, because it's something that your opponent really has to play around because you don't really want them to take your monsters. However, the Kaijus bring in a certain type of annoyance because it means that if there are any problem monsters your opponent has that might be locking down your Graydle effects, it means that you can just get rid of them. Just tribute it for a Kaiju, and then you can just take that Kaiju with your own effects. One of the important cards for that deck is Graydle Impact. Being able to use that with Alligator is crazy. So the way that it works is Graydle Impact, you target another Graydle card and one card your opponent controls and destroy them. Then Alligator's effect kicks in and takes your opponent's monster. So it really works well with the deck. Then with the Kaijus, just mean that you can just get rid of any problem monster your opponent has. A non-targeting, non-chainable, really, effect because the monster's gone. The monster's tributed by that, and even if you negate the summon, your monster's gone, and all you're doing is just trying to damage limit what's happening on your board. The deck can also play a fair amount of floodgate cards. Playing things like Skill Drain and Anti-Spell Fragrance and all these things is a really positive thing for the deck, but it is quite tight-spaced. With the Kaijus, you've got the turtle, I can't remember what it's called. You can take 2 tokens off the board and then banish and negate and banish an effect. It's pretty crazy. Downside to having Kaijus and the field spell out is that if you're not careful and you do give your opponent a turtle, for example, and you have 2 counters on the board on your field spell, they can then start using your Kaiju effects, which really might hinder you because they will just try and negate anything and everything they can just to get rid of those tokens so that you can't use them and search for your own Kaijus. The deck's really budget. It's really budget. If you don't use Dragon and don't use Slime, Slime's only a rare, which is fine, but Dragon's a little bit of a couple of quid, I think, and you only mainly use 2 anyway. The deck is very cheap. You can get it for about £10–20, maybe $20, $30 at most, because you don't really need an extra deck either if you're not using Slime. It's one that I foresee being at a lot of different events, simply because of how cheap it is, how annoying it is to deal with, and it is pretty good. I think it's a sleeper deck. It's one that people will just really ignore, and then when they go up against it, and if they're not prepared for it, their monsters are just gonna go. There's nothing I hate more than summoning an Unstoppable-esque Yang Zing monster and then it being tributed by a Kaiju and then they get the Kaiju back. It doesn't make me happy. But overall, I think the deck's pretty solid. The downside to that deck is that it's very much like Yang Zing's. The fact that once your opponent catches on to what you're doing, they're not going to start attacking into your face downs. And with the addition of Twin Twister coming out very soon in Bosch, it kind of hurts because they take your monster and you're like, alright, fair enough, I'm just going to Twin Twister and take it back. It's definitely one to consider if you just want to play a cheap deck, if you can't maybe afford the meta decks that are running around. Maybe there's Miss Valley Apex Avians, there's Eccentric Archfiends, and eventually when it comes out, the Magician Sorcerer. Then it might be one that you want to look into. I think there's a bit of a dirty name for that deck as well, simply because people think it's a bit of a cheap win condition, but I don't think it's honestly that bad. It's annoying, but it's fine. So I want to know what you guys think of Graydle Kaijus and the individual archetypes as well. Do you think they are any good? Do you think they are a pretty decent deck? Or do you just think it's a novelty that will eventually wear off because it's just going to be power creeped very quickly? So as I said, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.